بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Let us remember to have a sincere intention in our heart when listening to the lesson. I will start today, inshallah. We will be talking, as I told you in the group, about the sins of the eye. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. This verse is clear. From this verse, it is clear that Allah Ta'ala did not create us to be like animals in this world. He did not create us to be like animals, just to eat, drink, and sleep. Allah Ta'ala created us to order us to worship Him. So if somebody wonders, why are we alive? Why are we on earth? Allah created us to order us with worship, to worship Allah Ta'ala, the only creator, the creator who created the creation and who is not like his creation at all. So then we know this life is a passage, and whoever obeys Allah during this time is the one who is successful. And whoever disobeys Allah, then this person is being unjust to himself. When the person disobeys Allah, Allah is not harmed by that. Rather, the person would be harming himself, because when the person who is accountable disobeys Allah, a sin would be recorded for this person. So this person then would be committing injustice towards himself. So what is the person to do? The person then is to obey Allah Ta'ala to be successful in the hereafter. Because really, this is what matters. Our time in this life, which is a passage, is very short. Even if a person lives 100 years, it is really short. It passes by very, very fast. In another verse, it is mentioned that the person needs to prepare for the hereafter. And the term that is used to indicate here the hereafter is the word al-ghad. And al-ghad, one of its literal meanings is tomorrow. So here we see really how close it is. So the hereafter is really very close. Again, even if we live many, many years, it is still very close. The time that we will be in the grave is a lot longer than our time in this life. A lot longer. And then later on in the hereafter, the people who will be in paradise, they will be in paradise forever, non-stop, forever. And those who will remain forever in hellfire, again, they will not leave. So this all shows that our time in this life is really short. We need to use our time very, very wisely. We need to be very choosy in how we are spending our time. Do I need to be very picky also with whom I'm spending my time? Yes, because the time that I spend, it passes and it does not come back. So if I spend my time with a person who, will just be joking the whole time and wasting my time, what am I gaining out of it? Unless I am sitting with this person because I'm hopeful that this person will learn and I want to teach this person. But if we are just sitting and wasting our time, well, this is really a pity, because these minutes or hours that will go, they are part of our life that will not come back. So the one who obeys Allah Ta'ala in this world is the successful one in the hereafter. Allah endowed upon us with many, many, many blessings that we do not count. There are so many ample blessings. But on the day of judgment, we are asked about these blessings. As I mentioned in the verse that I started our lesson with, that we will be asked about these blessings. And among these blessings is having eyes, having eyesight. This is a great blessing. You know, having eyes is something that is very, very valuable. So this is one of the blessings that we have. And of course, then we need to thank Allah for giving us this blessing. It was mentioned that the Muslim who is inflicted with the loss of his eyesight and is patient by that, so his eyesight is gone, but he is patient with this calamity, with this difficulty. It was mentioned that he will be rewarded with paradise. MashaAllah. So, you know, when we are seeing those people on TV who are suffering a lot of pain and hardships, being losing their eyesight, being losing their arms or legs, and they are saying Alhamdulillah, they are thanking Allah and they are being patient, inshallah, they will be rewarded. And it was narrated in a Qudsi hadith that if Allah inflicts a Muslim with his eyesight, and this person, as I said earlier, is patient, this person, this Muslim is patient, then Allah Ta'ala rewards this person with paradise. So among what Allah made obligatory upon us is then to thank Him for all the endowments that He granted us with. And we know Allah is not obligated to do anything. God is not obligated to grant us all these blessings that we have. But Allah Ta'ala gave us many, many blessings. So we need to be thankful. Even if we have hardships, even when we are sick and we have this trouble and that trouble and another trouble, remember, you still have many, many more endowments. You still have so many things to thank Allah for. So the eyesight is among the endowments that Allah Ta'ala granted us, and we should thank Him for that. Now, how do we thank Allah for this endowment, for the eyesight? We thank Allah by not using it in disobeying Him. We do not use our eyesight in disobedience. We do not look, for example, a sinful look. Well, what is a sinful look? How do I know what is lawful look for me, lawful to look at, and what is for me sinful to look at? So we should learn. We need then to learn in order to apply. Now, among the sins of the eye are for men to look at the bare face and hands of a marriageable woman with desire. I will explain. Okay, we will go step by step, inshallah, and I will explain. Here, of course, we are not talking about the man's wife. Of course not. So, for a man to look at the bare, uncovered face and hands of a marriageable woman with desire. Notice here the condition with desire. Because if it is not with desire, it is not sinful for the man to look at the face and hands of a marriageable female. So if he is looking at the face and hands of a marriageable woman. We're not talking about his wife. So if he looks at the face and hands of a marriageable woman with desire, it is sinful. Sinful for whom? For him. He would be committing a sin to look at her face and hands with desire. But if he is looking without desire, it is not sinful. It is not sinful. It is not prohibited, because the face and hands of the woman are not awrah. They are not awrah. So if I go on the street with my face bare, not covered, I would not be sinful because it is not awrah. I can show my hands. It is not awrah. Okay? So there is a consensus referred to as ijma. There is a consensus among the Muslim scholars that the face of the woman is not a awrah. So she can go out on the street in front of marriageable men with the face uncovered. She would not be sinful for that, for uncovering her face. There is a consensus, ijma, among the Muslim scholars, mujtahids, that it is not a awrah. Who conveyed this consensus? Al-Qadi Iyad. Okay, this is a very famous scholar, Al-Qadi Iyad. He conveyed the consensus that the face of the woman is not a awrah. Now, having said that, we will still say that it is good for the woman to cover her face. It is good, but she is not obligated to cover it. It's good. It's better for her to cover it when she goes out in front of marriageable men. It's better for her, but it is not an obligation. And this is how we follow the rules. You know, these rules were revealed to the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. He received them through revelation, and he conveyed what he was revealed to. He conveyed that to the people. He conveyed it as it is, and we are to follow it as it is. Some people, unfortunately, transgress the limits. They don't follow. So they alter the rules on their own. They are too strict in a matter to the extent that they alter the rule. Some claim that the female's face is a awrah, and this is not correct. So they make a big deal if they see a woman uncovering her face when going out in front of males. We were told of an incident where a wife was in her house, but when she was looking out of the window, she was covering her head, but she did not cover her face. And again, this is not sinful. However, the man that she was with, he felt that this is something so big, so a huge deal what she did, to the extent that he was so angry and maddened by that, that he cussed Allah. وَلَيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. Subhanallah. So he was so angry that this woman showed her face to people outside. And he was so angry by that that he cussed Allah. Now, she, uncovering her face, she did not commit a sin. He, cussing Allah, committed blasphemy, kufr. So, subhanallah, we really need to abide by the rules of the religion, not be too strict in ways where we shouldn't, and not be lenient where we are not to be lenient. So we follow the rules as the Prophet ﷺ conveyed them. Okay? Now, we said then, if it is with desire, if the man looks at the face and the hands of a marriageable woman with desire, he needs to turn away. He is the one to turn away. If he notices that he is feeling desire, then he turns his face away. He looks the other way. Now, as for looking at the rest of her body, other than her face and hands, it is sinful for the man, who is not her husband again, to look at her body other than her face and hands. Okay? So if she uncovered any part of her body other than her face and hands, this means she uncovered her aura in front of a marriageable man. He should not be looking, and of course, she would be committing a sin by that. Okay? Now, likewise, it is sinful for women to look whether with or without desire at all men, apart from their husbands, of course, and their owners, if their gaze, if their look is directed at the man's aura, which is what is between his navel and knees when it is bare. What does this mean? So, the man, what does he have to cover in front of a marriageable female? What does the man have to cover? He has to cover what is between his navel and his knees. So the woman is not permitted to look at what is between his navel and his knees. We are talking again about this man who is ajnabi. We're not talking about her husband. Okay? So she is not permitted to look at what is between his navel and his knees. And he should be covering that part in front of her. He should be covering that part in front of marriageable women. Okay? So in this case, whether she looks with or without desire, she would be sinful by that because she would be looking at his aura. Okay? Now, if she looks at other than what is between his navel and his knees without desire, she would not be sinful. So if she looked, for example, at his shoulder, his upper arm, this is not his aura. This is not his aura, so she can look as long as it is without desire. Looking at the aura overall is sinful. Looking at the aura, whether with desire or without desire, as we said. Even if it is among members of the same sex, of the same gender, of the same sex, okay? Even if it is among the same sex. What does that mean? Woman with woman, man with man. So when a man is with another man, what does he have to cover? He has to cover what is between his navel and his knees. A Muslim woman with another Muslim woman, what does she have to cover? She has to cover what is between her navel and her knees. Okay? A woman with another Muslim woman, she has to cover what is between her navel and her knees. Unfortunately, some women do not pay attention to that. You know, for example, nowadays during summer, we see some women on the streets with shorts that do not cover all her upper leg, that don't cover her thigh, for example. So she would be committing a sin by not covering that aura when she is out on the street. And when I am on the street, I am not to look at that part. Even though she is uncovering and she's committing a sin by that, I am also not supposed to look. So if I notice that, you know, she is not covering her thigh, then I need to look away, even if this is another woman, okay? Because as we said, the woman with another Muslim woman has to cover what is between the navel and the knee. It is prohibited for men or women to uncover the awra in private needlessly. What does this mean? So if a man, for example, is in his house alone, there is nobody else with him, alone, he is not to uncover his awra, and here what we mean by that is his two private parts, okay? He is not to uncover that needlessly, without a reason. What is a reason? For example, he wants to change his clothes. For example, he wants to go and bathe, okay? These are reasons. And also the female, even if she is all alone at home, she is not to uncover her awra needlessly, without a reason. Now, since I mentioned earlier what a woman has to cover in front of another Muslim woman, you might ask, well, what about if she is with a non-Muslim woman? Well, the scholars said if she is with a non-Muslim woman, she can uncover what she usually uncovers when working at home. And for example, she can uncover her head, she can uncover, this part of her hand, like that. They say she can uncover what she usually uncovers when working in the house. It does not mean that she uncovers the same as she would with a Muslim woman. No. Okay. Now, in regards to a person who is a mahram, what is a mahram? A mahram is a person whom you cannot get married to by any means. Okay, you cannot get married to by any means. Like who? Like one's father. For the female, her father. For the female, her brother, her son, her uncle. These are mahram. She cannot get married to them at all. Okay? And for the man, his mother. For the man, his mother, his sister, his daughter, his aunt. He cannot get married to them at all. So what do they need to cover in front of the mahram? They need to cover what is between the navel and the knees. So a female daughter with her mother, okay, I'm not talking about a girl who is, 2 years old, 3 years old. No, I'm talking, let's say, about, for example, a 14-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl with her mother. She still has to cover what is between her navel and knees. Okay, she is not to uncover what is between her navel and knees in front of her mother or in front of her sister. There are two more points for us to cover. The next, what we will talk about, is also among the sins of the eye, is to look down on a Muslim, in a way that is degrading because they are poor, for example, or because they are of a different social status. So to look down on a Muslim in a way that hurts this Muslim is sinful. Okay? And also it is prohibited to look into someone else's house at the various things inside that the homeowner does not like for you to look at. So, for example, you do not look through holes into somebody else's house. They wouldn't want that. Or if the door is open, but there are things that they put aside and they would not accept for you to look at, so you wouldn't go looking into them. Even if the homeowner is away, you wouldn't go and through their things, through their stuff, to look through them. No, because he would not be accepting for you to do that. So that would be sinful then to do. SubhanAllah, the eye is something that is very, very precious. But when a person uses it in committing a sin, he is from this very precious, valuable thing, he is treating it now as something very cheap because of him committing a sin using the eye. and Allah Ta'ala knows best.